Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
25 hilarious Croatian place names explained. Big fart to Grand's was
What? What
Okay.
is this?
The place name in the world is a small village in Austria called Fucking. That's very amusing in itself, but a very entrepreneurial German bought some land there and built a brewery. Because in Germany, the German word for lager is hell. And so he built this fantastic beer called Fucking Hell, which was selling very, very well until the village actually was forced to change its name after people kept stealing the signs. Croatia, as with many other countries in the world, has some really quite special names as well. And this is one of the reasons I always encourage people to learn the language, because then they actually get to appreciate the nuances that you'd otherwise miss. Here are 25, actually 27 of my favourite place names in Croatia. The first bunch come from a legend that in the 18th, 19th century, when the Austro-Hungarians they were doing a fantastic job mapping the whole of Croatia, and today's catastrophe is very much based on that. They were sailing through beautiful Kornati Islands, which is a fantastic sailing destination, and there are many, many islands there, and they took a local guide with them to name all the different islands so they could map everything. And after explaining what 10 or 15 different islands were, the guy was a bit bored, allegedly, and so started making up some quite interesting names. And so you have islands that today are called, for example, Kurbavela, which means like a big whore, which is quite next to a small island called Kurbamala, which means little whore. And then you have some other ones, I'm going to read some of these, if that's okay. Babenaguza, Grandma's ass, which apparently has a 5-star rating on TripAdvisor, but I wouldn't know that. And then you have Podusha Vela, which means big fart, which obviously is close to another island a bit smaller called Podusha Mala, a little fart. But as you go around the country, you find a lot of different place names which today are quite funny. Some of them describe the traditions of the area. So, for example, in Sukhopol near Brewers, you have a village called Piwnica Slavonska, which means like a Slavonian tavern, which I guess is where a lot of drinking gets done.
Well, that's not that bad. The tavern, you know, we're compared to the horse and everything. Yeah.
Cattle is obviously a big thing here, and there are a lot of pigs around, including in Bukovac. You have Svinjanac. You have Svinjanevci. This is quite hard for foreigners. I'm doing my best, so I know you're laughing. Another drinker's village in Zagreb is called Cugovec in Zagreb County, which translates as drinker's village, although there is a theory that the Cug is somehow related to trains as well. One of my favourites is in Bjelovar, Bilogora County, and Gornje Cjepidakle, which translates as an upper hair splitter. And
Upper hair split. What is that?
what would you expect to find close to a village called Upper Hair Splitter? Of course, a village called Lower Hair Splitter. So you can choose how to split your hairs, large or small. Probably the most famous, amusing village name in Croatia, and it was immortalised by the current president, Zoran Milanovic, when he was prime minister 10 years ago, is the village of Štrickovina, which translates as female genitalia village. Not quite sure what goes on.
Okay.
In that village, but it sounds quite interesting. Some of the most beautiful places in Croatia have some of the most bizarre names. So the very pretty hamlet in Pazin in Istria of Grdo Selo actually translates as ugly village. You can tell who wears the trousers in the village of Ženodraga, which translates as dear wife. And apparently the population was 28. The men have confirmed that actually the women do rule the village. A really, really interesting one.
Population of 28. Wow,
yeah,
that's
small.
That's like what, 4 families, 5 families. You know, depends how big families are.
Hamlet in Vodice in Dalmatia is the village of Gacileze, and you have Upper Gacileze and Lower Gacileze, which only translates as panties lie down. So you have upper panties lie down and lower panties lie down. And quite bizarrely, in between the two, there's a little road called Chistamala, which means little clean. So that sounds like quite an interesting story about that
Okay, that's funny. That is funny. Okay, so okay.
For those who are into female underwear, you can live in the village of Grudnjak. There's 23 people do in Ženici, in Virovitica, Podravina County. A chap called Mustafa unfortunately lost his head in the Middle Ages, but it has been remembered in the village of Mustafina Klada, Mustafa's log. A lot more farting going on the Croatian-Slovenian border in Brewers.
Oh my god.
This is a small village where apparently there was a famous brewer who had digestion problems, and that inspired the name of the village. Žena Glava, woman's head, is part of Komija on Vis, although apparently the Žena actually is derived from Žedna, which means thirsty, so it started off as thirsty head and became a woman's head. One of my favourites is apatia, apathy. It's actually a town called Ludbreg, which translates as crazy hill. So can you imagine being apathetic in Crazy Hill? Quite a strange thing. Don't be afraid in Nebojša. There are 88 people from 22 families who live on the Slovenian-Croatian border, and they're ready for anything. One of my favourites, and this is from Al Nafar, is a bay between Starigrad and Jalsa called, let me get this right.
You know, you have to do a lot of research for this, because a lot of these are like really, really small towns. Like 88 people, like a regular person wouldn't know of this town. Like you have to like literally go.
Be one of the 28.
Yeah, he probably had to pull up like a directory of all the like the villages in the country and kind of just read through them, see whichever like finds funny. Yeah, because this is definitely not common knowledge to know towns of like 88 people, you know.
Szmociguzica, which translates as wet ass. It's apparently very, very good for diving, and so this is perhaps where the bay got its name. Can you imagine being a settler and a migrant and trying to find somewhere new to set up a new community and so on, and you get it wrong? Apparently, in the 17th century, some migrants from outside came in near Rijeka on the coast, and they formed the village of Kriviput, which means the wrong way. So they obviously weren't very happy with what they found. Chingiwingi doesn't really have a meaning, doesn't really have a point, I suppose. Nobody actually lives there. There's only 4 people who come on the weekends, apparently. A bit more pig in Sisak, which used to be a very, very large pig breeding industry, and you can live in the quarter called Veliko Sviničko, big pig village.
I wonder if he speaks Croatian then.
Seems pretty decent to me, even though he's like, you know, trying to say these names.
No, because he doesn't seem comfortable reading the names though. But in the intro, he said he encourages people to learn the language, which makes me feel like he speaks the language. But when he reads these, he's not like super confident about it, you know.
It's very attractive. A little bit more attractive than living in Gnojnica, Manureville, and this is a beautiful spot in Karlovac County on the border with Bosnia and Herzegovina. Probably the most troubled village in Croatia is a little hamlet called Nebodic near Tridel in inland Dalmatia, and it translates as troubles. Even more troubling is most of the people who live there also have the same surname. Probably the most famous place.
So I guess one family basically, like all related, like of the same family tree.
Is with strange names is a part of Dubrovnik, a peninsula of Dubrovnik called Babin Kuk, which translates literally as grandma's hip. It's actually shortened from what it used to be called, which was Babin Kukumania, which translates as grandma's weeping. And this is where a lot of the mothers and wives used to go to say goodbye to their sons and their husbands as they went off sailing on voyages. And one can't possibly mention funny names in Croatia without the king of all names, our very own Vukojedina, which is a place that doesn't actually exist, although I have heard that there is a forest near Zagreb called Vukojedina, which I must go and visit if it's true. It literally translates as a place where the wolves get romantic or the wolves get frisky and a little bit more, and it's a place that tourists don't generally go to, and it's a place that locals don't generally go to against their will. And there is also another version of this which is called Pripizina, which translates as female genitals. England, of course, has our own. My personal favourite address when I was a door-to-door salesman many years ago, going to the end of this beautiful village in Oxfordshire and finding the last house at the end of this lane, and the address was Bottom End, Backside Lane, Sifford Ferris, Oxfordshire, which I thought was quite special.
He said it's so quite proper.
A little bit more attractive than living in
I just that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, he was getting tripped up.
Yeah. I mean, these, you know, I guess for English speaker, maybe a lot of consonants, maybe not that easy to pronounce, you know, that's
to me, he sounds fine.
No, I'm not saying he sounds bad, not at all. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't come off like a, you know, free. Like, I don't know, it seems like it's hard to read.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.